everyone, welcome back to Blooms and Bicycles and happy Halloween. Moving into the celebrations of Halloween, local pumpkin farms become a hive of activity with groups of families and friends. Like glowing orange autumnal suns, these wonderful fruits, which sit patiently waiting to be taken to their new home for the festive celebrations, sit in contrast to the colour of the earth behind. Then becoming the centrepiece on party tables across our lands, they complement the sea of carnival colours we find in the other decorations at this time of year. Embracing the magic of October, this Halloween flower collection has been designed to help you encapsulate the excitement of these atmospheric celebrations. In today's video, we'll be sharing with you how to construct the Halloween Teapot Letterbox Flowers. Our water vessel today is already prepared with both the water and the flower feed. However, if you would like to know how to prepare your water vessel, you can find the link to our flower care video in the description box below. To construct our grid with this collection, we'll be using a series of Grevillea stems in an ombre of pink and green colours. The Grevillea stems, which will come to you, are actually very long, so we can use this to our advantage as we have done in previous collections by splitting it in two. To do this, you find a leaf in the middle and cut on an angle, just above it. So once you've split into two every stem of Grevillea which comes with this piece, you'll have quite the selection. So as we always do, we start by creating our grid to help give structure for the softer and longer stems. Bearing in mind that our teapot is relatively lower than any other water vessel, this does mean that you do need to trim down the stems relatively lower to make sure they don't topple out or become top heavy. So actually, even though this one stem has already been split into two, I'm actually just going to split it out again into two other smaller pieces. So 3, 5 and 7 are the magic numbers that we always work to in floristry, and given how much Grevillea we do have with this piece, we'll be working with the magic of 7. So we just do this by crisscrossing over the branches, which knits them together under the water. And to create the final part of the grid, we'll next take our Limonium. The Limonium which you'll receive again is a very long stem and comes with a number of offshoots. Again, we can use this to our advantage by splitting them into various pieces. Again, trimming down the stem so it's not too top heavy in our teapot. It just becomes a case of trial and error until it sits happy in an upright position within the central area. We do now have a final very small offshoot of Limonium. Again, not to let anything go to waste, as we always say, we'll use this in the spout. So we'll just place that in there. And now to add our pumpkin. I think we have to feature this at the very front given the season, don't we? So we just give this a wiggle until it sits in its own natural place really within the grid. And next to add our chrysanthemums, which are absolute showstoppers. So we'll do this by adding them on either side to the left and right of the purple Limonium just placed. So again, trimming down to size the stem so that it isn't too top heavy. We'll also remove any of the leaves which will fall under the watermark. So now with this second chrysanthemum, given the fact that the first one has sloped off to the front whilst in the left-hand position, we'll make sure this one slopes off to the right and at the back. So now to build out the orange points of interest using the magic of 3, we'll take our Chinese lanterns and our Celosia. So again, just taking away any of the leaves which won't be of any benefit to the design. We'll trim down our Celosia However, we will take advantage of its natural height and position this off to the back, creating balance with the pumpkin at the front. Bella the dog can't take her anywhere. And now to take this beautiful Chinese lantern stem, which looks like a set of Halloween fairy lights you'd expect on trick or treat night. We'll just weave these in somewhere in the middle. And just to create some distinction, we might just slightly move off to the side the pumpkin to ensure every orange piece has its own space. And now to take our Eustoma, which creates a nice graduation in the purple tones, going from the very vivid of the chrysanthemum to the more muted colours of the Limonium, and now into the more mottled purple tones which you see very typically at this time of year in autumn. As we always say with Eustomas, because they have so many offshoots similar to the Limonium, you can use this to your advantage and trim the offshoots away so that you have a greater disbursement of the flower heads throughout your design. I think we'll do that today. However, if you do wish to keep it just as one piece, you can. Again, weaving into the grid throughout the design, each of the flower stems, but not forcing them all the way down. Allow them to just sit naturally in the grid where they want to be. And this is how you achieve the natural burst effect. And now to take our dahlias. These beautiful carnival coloured dahlias go in an ombre fashion from orange through to purple, the perfect colours for this time of year. And in the same way as the dahlias did in the September collection, these form like a pom-pom shape all the way round to the back of the stem. They're beautiful. John Jumbone. John Jumbone. Oh, you do know how to bribe, don't you? She's not daft, this dog. So the fuller the grid becomes, the easier it is to actually position the softer stems, which is why we always add these in towards the end. So as you can see, this dahlia is sitting in a very unusual upright position and actually very high to the rim of the teapot because the grid underneath has given it that support. So now that we've positioned this one so high at the very back, we'll start to work with different heights for the other two flowers. So see how this dahlia is now holding itself at such an unusual angle? This is because of the benefit of the grid. So at that point, what is also just important to say is to always make sure that your teapot is filled right to the top. And this might mean topping the teapot up every day, or if you're in a warm room, maybe more than once a day. So again, working to the power of 3, or the magic, given it's October and it's Halloween, we've created an unusual triangle formation with our dahlias. Given an unexpected twist allows the eye to keep moving throughout the design. That is also another technique. So next we'll take our white pumpkin, and given the fact we now have a sort of a void off on this side, I think positioning the white baby boo pumpkin just in that space will work perfectly. And something to note with the pumpkin stems, they are very top heavy, and the branch itself which it's supported on also adds a bit of weight. So although you don't have to worry about it being under the water level, do just keep hold of it as you're manoeuvring it through the stems which are knitted together in the grid under the water level, just to be sure that as you move away, it won't topple over. So keeping hold of it until there is no more movement is the best way to go. And now to take our splashes of candy coloured pink in the form of our roses. Again, we'll work to the magic of 3 to create a triangle formation by adding 1 to the back. See how easy that just positions itself in the grid then? So we'll trim these down significantly more. Roses do need a good drink of water, so definitely being mindful that they are positioned in the grid under the water is definitely something to do. And just gently weaving through all of the delicate stems into one of the final gaps in the water vessel. And now to add our dried stems, just for a final touch of luxury. So these two coloured pampas are actually synthetically dyed. So one thing to just be mindful of is when it does come into contact with the water, the dye can transfer into the water. Therefore, be mindful to keep it away from any porous surfaces, and when you're lifting out the flowers to switch out the water or to dispose of the arrangement, if you either make sure you put on a pair of rubber gloves or only hold the flower stems from above the water mark so you don't come into contact with any of the wet stem, it will just ensure that you don't end up with any of the dye on your hands. So if we just fluff out all of the offshoots from this pampas, it really takes on a feather-like formation. And it doesn't have to be in the water because it's dried. So just positioning it again in the grid so it becomes a real backdrop to all the other carnival tones. If you push the feather-like offshoots to one side, you'll see the main spine of the flower. If you then trim away at the halfway point, you'll then create two separate stems, or maybe three even if you like, which all come from the one piece. So that's exactly what we've done. In this case, we've split it into 3 pieces. So now we'll work to the magic of 5. Given the vivid colour of purple, which is now created by the existing 2 points in the chrysanthemums, these pampas will add the other 3. One is bigger than the other, so this will be the main stem in the central area. It can just rest in between the other flower stems, and to really make sure we get that open burst effect, maybe using some of these as the lower, more horizontal branches to create that natural fan shape always works really well. And now to take our hill flower stems in a very atmospheric black for Halloween, we can then also add these into any final voids within the display. One thing which is always very nice to do, again because it's all about varying heights and different points of interest, is just to push some stems higher than the others. And gradually thread them in very carefully so they look like a cluster of black stars. And what we've done in this case, actually brought them to the front of the design to counterbalance the distribution of black created by the pampas at the very back. So there you have it, the Halloween Teapot Letterbox Flowers. I hope you enjoy and I hope you have a happy Halloween.